Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends, wherever you are. Welcome to the PMP exam, Failure STAMPOUT 2021. I know lots of you have been taking the PMP exam and secretly failing it. And to be quite honest, you don't want to disclose that you failed it, because if you did, it'll make you look less than adequate, a failure. Don't listen to those gremlins. Those are voices in your head, and they are false. If you have failed the PMP exam, you need to look at it as an opportunity to refire, to master the content, and to do even better. So a typical situation we find is someone goes into the test and gets a result like this. Now, first of all, you want to analyze what is happening at the top level. The top level usually tells me how much of a chance there was, depending on the factors. Taking a look right here, I can see that this student has a below target, and the below target level is more to the side towards target. I'll say all hope shouldn't be lost for this student who is close to target. Now, for students who are all the way to the end of needs improvement, somewhere around here, that tells me that a lot of the core concepts you probably have not mastered remotely. It probably means a lot of the agile concepts you've not mastered remotely. So what I'm going to do today is show you, give you some ideas of chapters and areas of focus to get back on track. All right. Going down to the lower level here, where we take a look at this student's overall performance across the domains, we can see this student did not do well in people, passed process with a target, and got below target in business environment. Now, on every exam, you will have a below target, target, needs improvement, or above target at this top level. But to help you, they will also break down the score further into people, below target, target, just similar to what you have at the top. So this student does not have needs improvement at the lower levels, but below target is still not very desirable. For students like this, I would recommend that you dive into those areas where you have below targets or needs improvements. Perhaps you need an absolute overhaul of all the information. But don't lose hope. I want to give you some ideas and just trade ideas with you as I go through the content. It's possible there is some stuff that you have not adequately covered, or some chapters that you haven't covered. So let's jump straight into my plan for anyone taking this exam. This is a plan that's accessible to students going through my training course, Project Management Masterclass. Week 1, I advise everyone to cover the Agile Concepts. And I want you to dive into the definitions for all of those glossary items in the Agile Practice Guide. Agile Basics, what is Agile, Agile Manifesto, all of these. And there are going to be some that you see and some you don't. I'm just going to go all the way down a little bit slow so that you can see what's on the screen. I cannot share this with you, obviously, on YouTube, but you can make yours. And as you make yours, I would even recommend probably handwriting some of these and internalizing them. Week 2, I would strongly advise doubling down into the people section of the exam. The people section of the exam, as you saw from the sample report here, below target. If you have something similar, my advice is to really double down in Chapter 9 in the PMBOK guide. Now, manage conflict is specifically 9.5, but every theme about managing conflict throughout the PMBOK guide, and there are lots of them, look out for that. Lead a team, again, 9.5. Support team performance, 9.4, 9.5. Now, when we talk about this, you also need to remember that the Agile Practice Guide is an important reference. And the Agile Practice Guide has a lot about the team, has a lot about team structure and things such as that. So what I'm going to do here is add to what we already have here. I really want to emphasize the importance of all the information throughout the Agile Practice Guide about the team. In the section of the Agile Practice Guide where Scrum is discussed and where some of the basic practices of Agile are discussed, like on page 50, 51 forward, all of those are places to look out for. All right, and then anything that refers to the team, whether it is the pain points or troubleshooting possibilities, all of this is relevant to understanding how Agile works. Page 58, page 59, page 60, and so on. All right, and when it comes to the roles of the team, roles on the team, also look out for that in the Agile Practice Guide. There's so much revolving around people in the Agile Practice Guide that I cannot give you every single page right now. Still in that theme, task 4, task 5, task 6, task 7, 9.5 is all relevant for these. 9.4 is also relevant for a number of them, as you can see. So predominantly chapter 9 for those first 7 tasks. Going into task 8, still chapter 9 and chapter 13. And honestly, you will see the same theme across the board. 9.5, develop team, comes up so much. And that's because in the world of Agile, develop team, sending the team for training, coaching the team, it's very heavy in the world of Agile. It's very team focused. We also have negotiate project agreements, which has an element of 12.2, conduct procurement. So if I were you and I did badly on people, I would tackle all of these, read all of these. Okay, enough said. Let's move on to the process side. For the process side, again, it's very heavily PMBOK guide. Manage communications is chapter 10. Assess and manage risk is chapter 11. Engage stakeholders is chapter 13. Plan and manage budget and resources is chapter 7 and 9. Plan and manage schedule is chapter 6. Plan and manage quality of product and deliverables is chapter 8. Plan and manage scope is chapter 5. Integrate project planning activities is chapter 4. Manage project changes is really perform integrated change control, chapter 4. Plan and manage procurement, chapter 13. Manage project artifacts, of course, chapter 4. We're talking specifically about 4.4. Determine appropriate project methodology. You could look at chapter 1. You could look in the Agile Practice Guide, page 14, page 18, 19. Those are heavy. Talking about task 14, it's really more chapter 2 heavy. Manage project issues, chapter 4, 4.3 to be precise, where we have direct to manage project work. But bear in mind that this happens all throughout the project. Ensure knowledge transfer, again, 4.4. We could also refer to 4.7. And then plan and manage project phase closure transitions. That's 4.7 as well. And that's it for the process piece. However, when we talk about the Agile Practice Guide, my friends, you got to make sure you got all of these down pat from an Agile perspective. Regarding business value, it's all over the Agile Practice Guide. Managed communications, all of these topics, they're all sprinkled so finely into the guide in so many different places that it will be futile for me to go put whatever pages they are, because there's so many pages. So what I would like you to do instead is ask the question, do I understand why, from an Agile perspective, I would need to execute the project with urgency? Why is the word urgency there? The word urgency is there because your customer needs value ASAP. For business reasons, for reasons best known to the business, they may need to implement something super quick. So the concept of executing the project with the urgency required to deliver business value, it can be rooted back to Agile. Also manage communications, rooted back to Agile. Who's managing the communications? The different roles, but primarily it's a team that communicates through osmotic communication, information radiators. So I want you to take a look at every one of these and tie it back to an Agile perspective. What about assessing and managing risks? How is that done in the world of Agile? In the world of Agile, it's built into the process. A lot of the meetings are risk control mechanisms. The daily scrum is a risk control mechanism, the retrospective, even the demos, the concept of the MVP. You get what I'm saying? And I wish I could go on and on talking about this. However, you need to do it for yourself, read it, ensure that from an Agile perspective, you understand all of these tasks in the process domain. All right, let's talk about the final run-up. So we talk about the business piece, and one of the things I tell my students is to watch all the videos on the Project Management Masterclass course. But for you, if you don't have access to those, just make sure that you use everything that you've got that is good and reliable. Remember, it's a new exam, so going to old questions from early 2000s isn't going to be sensible. It has been proven that the exam is roughly 70 to 90% agile for a lot of students. Some students, the outliers, would say it's a 50-50 toss-up between agile and predictive, but we've had so many students say, no, 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 no. The exam was 90% agile, 70% agile, 80% agile. So it is important that you understand all of these tasks from an agile perspective. If you've not been able to do that, that may be the reason for your failure. And that's okay. You have the opportunity to close the gaps, get good with it, also close the gaps in the PMBOK guide, and make sure you balance things up. All right. So domain 3, task 1, 4.1, compliance. That's pretty much where I would say have a strong focus on, understand the genesis of the project. Task 2, evaluate and deliver project benefits and value. This is on page 30 and 33. There's also an important understanding from an agile perspective of what exactly value means and how we prioritize the backlogs with value, prioritize the product backlog with a value slant, and that's the product owner's job, and things like that. Chapter 2 maps back to task 3 under domain 3, and this is EEFs and OPAs and that whole discussion about refining the backlog, because it says evaluate and address external business environment changes for impact on scope. Well, scope is all in that backlog. Last but not least, we have promote team performance through the application of EI. EI is mentioned in chapter 9 in the PMBOK guide. Don't forget, in the Agile Practice Guide, you'll find this as well. I also recommend to my students for week 3, hit integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, communications, risk, procurement, stakeholders. And what I recommend that you do is focus on big ticket items. So take quizzes, short and long, that we have on the Project Management Masterclass or whatever the vehicle you're on, and make sure you refer back to these chapters. And what I want you to do is observe the key definitions, the key ITTOs, and by key ITTOs, I really mean unique ITTOs. Also, inputs that are unique, tools, techniques that are unique, outputs that are unique. Try to do that. And also understand the extended definition and the key benefits. These are going to help you. And of course, make sure you watch that video that I have on all the tools and techniques. In other words, go through all page 686 to page 694. And I would also recommend that you read the glossary completely. Go through it like a fine-tooth comb. Make sure you understand all the definitions. So the glossary for both the PMBOK guide and the Agile Practice Guide. Make sure you do that, and it's going to help you solidify all of this knowledge and come out as a success. Don't lose hope. You know, I've trained people worldwide who have failed once, twice, 3 times, 6 times, believe it or not, passed on the 7th try. So when I see people giving up on the 1st or 2nd try, I just shake my head, and I know if only you could persevere just a tiny little bit more, you would get to success. All right, week 4, that's when I recommend that you finish all mock exams and quizzes. If you haven't already, take all outstanding quizzes, and you will be laughing all the way to the score bank. But you got to put in the time, you got to put in the effort, you got to be rugged, dogged, and tough, and you got to be a student of your failures so that you can fail your way to success in the first failure. You can use the first failure as leverage to ace the exam on the 2nd time, or 3rd, or 4th, or 5th, or even 10th time. I've worked with various students that have tried this exam for 10 years and finally they passed it. So look, it's up to you to move forward. If you want to progress and proceed because you know that your progress is being hindered by this ridiculous test, I want to recommend to you, if you feel you need more help, get help. Don't try to do this on your own if you know you're not cut out for it. I hear a lot of people through ignorance saying, well, you don't need a coach to pass this exam. Well, I've been doing this for the past 15 years, and I can tell you some folks just absolutely would be nowhere without a coach. They would not be able to pass this exam. So what I would recommend that you do, my friends, is go on down to where you can get help. All right? You can get help right there on our website. And our website is Praizion, Praizion.com. We have training scheduled all throughout the year. My buddy Roy and I, and my co-trainer Emily in the audio digest, we are waiting to help you. There's so many solutions that you can get from Praizion.com. I know a lot of people say, well, I did it all on my own. Yes. I know there's some people who do stuff all on their own, but some of us just need a coach, a trainer, a mentor, someone to help move us to where we're trying to get to. All right. And if that's you, go on down to Praizion. Let's see how we can help you. I've done this, like I said, for the past 15 years, and failure is only ammo that you can use to your success.